this. All right. Okay, one of the things I do want you guys to do before you start actually coloring with your sketch on your paper is in your sketchbook, I want you to make a little color chart. And this is the most basic color chart. Would be basically to put a swatch of the color, the pencil number, you should write then the name. And if you're really groovy, you'll put where you're going to use this. So like these colors here, and in here, I should have wrote strawberry, because those were the ones I was going to use for my strawberry. Now here's the good thing, because I already did some strawberries early on up in here, and I had forgotten what colors I used because I did this a couple weeks ago, but I was good enough to write down in the sketchbook what colors I was using, so I was able to go back to this and pull out my colors. This is really important because even from day to day, you might forget which colors you're using, so you want to have this guide. So before you start on your paper, you must do this step, okay? This is an important step, and actually this chart in your sketchbook is going to count for some separate points. Yes, because that's how I can torture you. All right, so I'm going to take a look at my cupcake picture here, and I'm going to go ahead and do this strawberry that's right above the frosting that I did earlier. So right now it just looks like this awkward rectangle that's in there. Now, I personally like my stuff when I do the white color pencil technique first. That's my personal preference. You do not have to do that. So if you are not doing the white color pencil technique, this first step you can sort of ignore. So I'm going to look at my photograph, and I'm going to go ahead and start by adding in with my white pencil where the highlights are. And I'm going to be really mindful because the strawberry has a lot of texture, and the key to making this look like a strawberry is to get the highlights and the shadows correct. And I have to admit to you guys, I've actually found the strawberries to be really challenging, even for me. I've been a little stumped by them a couple times recently. I'm going to go ahead and add these highlights in. La, 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 la. You know, gotta have fun when you draw. There's some little more highlights right in here, and a little bit more down in here. Okay, beautiful. So now I've got my highlights added in. The other thing I want to think about is it's easier to add more value, which means to make things look darker. It's harder to subtract. So once I go really dark, I can't really make it go light again. It's not going to work so well. So it's really important that you do your layering technique from light to dark. So the first technique we learned about was layering. So that's where you shade all of your colors and you build up layers of colors until it starts to become smooth and you don't see the paper underneath. Then at the very end, I will burnish to blend all the colors together. I recommend, if you're not sure, if you're done with a certain piece, that you don't burnish it until you're absolutely certain you are done with that object. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my light colors, and for this I have quite a few colors I'm using for a strawberry. So all of these pencils here are my strawberry colors. So I'm going to start with my peach because this is the lightest color, and then after that I'm going to use some pink here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start my layering. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this in very lightly. And where my areas are really dark, I'm not going to shade them in with the light peach. I'm going to allow the paper to be the darker part. Okay, and I'm just going to go in here. It's really dark in there, so I'm just going to sort of leave that. Alright, and I'm going to come back with my pink. And can you start to see the colors changing? And it's really light, it's hard to see on the screen a definite color change, but I swear to you it's happening. Alright, and now from there I'm going to go in and start adding some of my darker tones. So I'm actually going to use a crimson red right now, which is a pretty intense red. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start adding in my more intense red values. having to really pay attention to where all the different shapes are in my strawberry. It's pretty tough. Okay, I'm going to bring some of this over in here. So I'm going to do some light layering of this darker red over in here and bring it onto my peach. I know it's not the most exciting thing to watch me draw a strawberry. Alright. So far it doesn't really look much like a strawberry other than some random red polka dotted thing. But I promise you, it will get there. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to really focus on some of my areas that need to have a little bit more emphasis and value. And I'm going to come back and forth now between my light and my dark colors so that I can get that look. So now I'm using a Tuscan red, which is my darker red in my set that I'm going to use here. I'm going to work on blending these in a little bit. I'll take my white, just because I feel like I'm losing some of my highlighted areas here, so I don't want to lose those just yet. So I'm going to These strawberries are tough. Okay. Now, I'm not seeing this get as dark as I want in some of the areas, so I'm going to kind of use my best artistic eye here, and I'm going to take a really dark blue. You don't want to use any black in this. You are forbidden from using black. You're not allowed to use the black colored pencil at all. It is forbidden. Okay, so I'm actually going to take indigo blue, which is a really dark blue, and I'm just going to bring a little bit of it into my areas here so that I can help that pop a little bit, and then I'm going to actually use the red to blend it in so it ends up coming up as a pretty dark purple versus this really intense blue that I'm just sticking in here right now. I'm going to go back and get my red, and I'm going to go ahead and add that in. Now, a lot of times when I'm drawing, I get a glare from the color pencils and the paper, so sometimes you'll see me turning my head at weird angles, and that's so I can actually see what am I doing on the paper. When that happens, you guys can turn your paper around, you can move your head around, whatever it is that you need to do so you can see the process of your drawing. Come back and get this peachy color in here. Now these lighter colors like the peach and the ginger root, these are all really good colors to use to blend instead of white. You know, white you really want to save for those really bright, intense highlights, so it's nice to kind of mix it up a little bit and use some of these other lighter colors that allow you a similar access to the white. So now I'm just doing some little circles because when I blend, sometimes doing little circles will help the colors blend together and help them to sort of pop out more. It's still not looking quite like a strawberry yet, but it's getting a little better. I definitely have to say strawberries are not my forte. I've decided that I could use a little bit more artistic practice, I think, on strawberries. See? Even art teachers don't know everything. So I'm going to use this pencil now to do the same thing and add a little bit more of this white. I'm going to try to get the texture in there. And I want to try to build up my layers so eventually I don't really see the black paper anymore, that it's more about the highlights and the shadows. I'm going to come back in, use this again, and do some little blending. And then right in this area I don't have as much definition. It's a little bit more just a couple like light spots. And then we get into where this starts to get really dark. So I'm going to go ahead with my Tuscan red and I'm going to add some of this darker red. Come back in with this blue. Really get in here. And then I'm going to blend with the Tuscan red again and burnish this bad boy. Now this is the really nice part about art. You can always learn and grow as an artist. You're never done learning how to do art. And so even though I've been doing art since high school, like seriously since high school, really enjoy it, there's still a lot of things about art that I could learn. And I am never afraid to admit when I don't know how to do something, because when I admit it, I can get help and learn how to do it. So don't be afraid if it's hard for you and you need a little bit of extra art to love. So I'm coming back in now with poppy red, which is like this bright like red-orange, because strawberries do have a sort of an orangey color to them, and I want to add some of that in to help the strawberry have a little bit more fleshy feel to it. So, I'm not super excited by this just yet. I feel like it's not feeling quite strawberry enough to me. It's not quite there yet. Uh-oh, Siri shouldn't be on right now. Okay, so I'm going to come back in with my highlights with my white. And I'm going to kind of get this in here. I'm going to use the white to burnish in this highlighted area. Now there's a couple of spots that are really intensely white, and I might actually go back into those spots and dab with the gel pen. Gesundheit, and all other such foreign words. Exactly. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is grab the gel pen out. It's hiding in my pocket. Pockets. I'm not super excited by this. Actually, I think I want to do a little more blending. I'm going to take this pink and I'm going to blend this a little bit more. Just seems a little too crisp for me. Oh, I know what this needs. It needs some yellow. So I'm actually going to grab the cream, because the cream is a white yellow, and I need to add a little bit of yellow to this because strawberries have some yellow in there. All right. And then in some of these areas it's a little brighter. I might take the gel pen, and now I'm not jumping all over this with the gel pen. What I'm doing is actually stippling. You guys remember stippling?
Nope.
The little dots, yeah. So you want to, when you get a chance and you're going to use the gel pen as the very last step when your whole project is finished, you would stipple it on. You don't just draw it on. You got to stipple it in order for it to go on smoothly and to match the technique that you have going on here. Yeah, it is very important to stipple it. So I personally would probably want to spend like another 10 minutes on this strawberry, like before I would be completely happy with it. I'm not going to make you sit and watch me draw for another 10 minutes. But I am going to pass this around so you guys get a chance to see what it looks like up close, because the projector doesn't necessarily do the best job of showing you the true colors and what's happening. And it'll give you a sense of what's kind of going on here. And I will admit to you, I really feel like strawberries might be my nemesis. Like, this might be the thing that brings Miss Jewel down. But I will persevere on these strawberries. All right.